It'll only have an egg
at £1,200. Once, twice, third and final time. Gavels up and it goes at £1,200.
Things haven't gone too well. I think I may have been had over here.
Just notice this, quite early doors, lot 5. There's a few of these in today, TFs. That's a Trodden blue one there. And then there's this MGF, early one in Bruges. No hard play, no reserve. With hard top. It's a really nice car. Difference between the TFs and the Fs, really, not much at all, other than the suspension. The TFs were springs, these were on a hydrogas. So like a Metro, basically. So if it gets low, I've got a pump for it, so I can pump it up. That one's actually sitting quite well. It's a nice thing. Mileage is only 43,000. And they've got the hard top, which is always worth its weight in gold. It's in good nick. None of dear money these, by the way. See, he's going through all the time for a few grand. But that's a low mileage, nice early F model. It's not bad, that.
Excuse me, 1998 in the year. Just come complete with his factory colour coded hard top as well. Around about 43,000 miles.
This is a nice thing, this MGF.
Top there. Quite a nice original looking little car.
Got the hard top with it in colour
Here to be sold
no
again.
reserve on it.
Lot number 5.
Early
We're going to be on that one today. 2,000 for it. 222. Start me at 2,000 if you will. Can I say 2,000? Any interest at 2,000? Where do you want to be? Start me at £1,000 then.
I'll have that grand for that.
£1,000. 1,000. Good now. 1,000. Right. We're going ones on this one. At £1,000. Looking for £1,100 now. 1,000 is the bid at 1,000. Without reserve, best bid buys it at £1,000. Does anybody wish to bid 1,100 now? At £1,000. Well, it looks like the only bid's going to buy it in a minute at £1,000 bid. Anybody else now for 11? All quite
we win
right.
this for a grand.
1,000 is the bid then. We'll count it. Goes once at £1,000. Twice. 11's online. With you, Will. Thank you. £1,100 bid. £1,200 nearly there, weren't you?
Yeah,
£1,200.
Seconds away.
£1,200. Back in the hall at £1,200 now. The bid's at 12. You're bidding there again online. Yes or no? At £1,200 bid.
I haven't actually listened
yes
to it.
Yes or no? The bid's at 1,200. Get a count it then if you get
It'll only have an egg
at £1,200. Once, twice, third and final time. Gavels up and it goes at £1,200. Sold it there, £1,200. Same way. 566 chaps. Yep. Thank you.
Right. So, good start. We have to say, very good start. We did win this, and I thought this was very, very cheap for an MGF. I see a lot of these occasionally go through sales and classic sales, and they always do similar money, 2 to 3 grand territory. So to get that, or what we did, what was it, 11, 12, 1,300 quid I think it was. I'm over the moon with that. I'm over the moon. Not the best colour, but it's probably a right colour for just to be selling, because there's probably an old boy for that. It's nice and original. I didn't catch the engine size. I know it'll be a 1.8 because they're all 1.8s. But it's probably just a standard, it's not a VVC one, so it'll just be a standard 1.8, 120 brake K series. Well, the mileage is good, it's clean, it's honest, it's an early F. We've not started it though. We'll come back to that later. That could be the reason why it was cheap, Lee.
Right, they could be very famous last words from me. MG, it's back. Everything brilliant on it? Is everything perfect? Did the whole process of getting the car back from the auction to here go smoothly? No. In fact, you could say, been done over like a kipper. I'll come back to that in a minute. Let me quickly show you around the car first. We'll start with the good points, because there are some, and then we'll move on to the bad points. And there's a few.
Right, where do we start? So, good points. Let's get them out of the way first. So the car, we got it in one piece. So, you know, we didn't have any smashes, or we didn't catch fire, which is always a bonus. I do like it when a car doesn't catch fire. And as you can see, first impressions, it actually is a tidy looking car. And it is, in fairness. It's not a bad condition for its age, because some of these, of this sort of era, are a bit scruffy. But this isn't one of them. Now, there are some good points to this. As you mentioned in the sale, the reason why I was sort of semi-interested in this, really, might regret that, is it's got low mileage. It's the earlier F model, which I personally prefer because it's on hydrogas suspension, not springs. I just think they're a better ride. That's just my personal view. Others will disagree. But put that aside, that's controversial. The mileage is great, 40,000 miles, and it's got a bit of service history of it. It's in clean condition for its age. Colour, it's not my favourite colour, but it's a good colour, I think, for the car. This red's quite a popular colour. The British Racing Green was a really popular colour. I would prefer a silver or a blue, but that's just personal preference. But from a selling perspective, that will be a good colour, because the type of gentleman most likely like to buy that would like that colour. So I think that's a good point. The other good point is hard top roof. Now, I mentioned this in before, the hard top roof on these are quite rare to get, and particularly one that isn't leaking. This one's actually in good nick, it's in good order, this one's in good order. So they're quite popular, and even second hand on the market, you can get 500 quid for one of those, easy, for a hard top roof, and the roof underneath it's in good nick as well. So the roof's a good point, that's a good selling point. You're likely to get more money for one, or it's certainly more desirable when you sell it if you've got the matching hard top roof, which we have, which is good. Another good point, and this is only the last good point really, is the engine, as in what it is, not the state it's in. So the engine is not, as I first thought, a standard 1.8 version. They did a 1.8 when they came out, these MGFs, in 1995, 120 brake horsepower engine, which was pretty quick in fairness, and then they launched a year later the VVC version, variable valve control unit. That packed 145 brake horsepower, loosely based, I'll say loosely because there'll be some VTEC people in there trying to say I'm comparing it. I'm not, I'm just saying it's a similar technology to the Honda VTEC series. That's pretty much what they were trying to sort of incorporate into it and to sort of copy. The VVC was a good system, very rev happy, and pretty quick as well. In fact, these were just over 0 to 60 in 6 seconds. These are not slow cars, proper little fast sports cars, particularly if you get that VVC version. So that is good, because most of them you'll come across are not the variable valve version. But it is a bit of a bonus being the VVC. That will help it when it sells, when we'll have to sell this car, because we're going to have to do something with it. However, we're a long way from that point. A long way from that point, because we had, like I said, a few issues, not only with the car itself, as in mechanicals of it, but also how much I ended up paying for this car, because I've been a bit hoodwinked. Before we get onto that, just quickly showing you inside briefly and around it. It's actually quite clean inside. A little bit there of wear on my leather, but I've got a treatment for that, so I'm going to put that on there, get that done. And that was really it, to be honest with you. There wasn't really much else aesthetically wrong with it. Probably a little bit of lack appeal I found here. I was going to have done. There's a nice section here to have painted, so I've had that done. Touch around it, there's a little mark there, but that'll come out. Wheels are in clean nick, little scuff there, that'll come out. That's all it really needed. A few touch-ups, buff up, do the seat. I knew there'd be mechanicals on it, don't get me wrong. Maybe not to this length, I'm going to have to go with it, but even so, I thought we'd be alright with this, because we'll have plenty of margin left in it, even to cover the worst case scenario, and it'll be enjoyable to do. We'll have a nice something different, get it ready over Christmas, ready for spring, and we'll have a buyer for it. That was the plan. But it all went wrong. Let me explain why.
Right, thought I'd take a pew in little MG and talk to you about the negatives of this car, because there are as many. And, as mentioned a few seconds ago, I feel a little bit done over here by this auction house in particular. And I don't say that lightly, because I have a lot of admiration for auction houses and the way they operate. I use them all the time, not only to buy in general stock, and have done for many years, since I was 17 years old and first got in the trade, but also classic cars, particularly over the last few years as well. I go to lots of auction houses up and down the country. Don't get me wrong, some are better than others, but I've never experienced what I experienced at this particular auction house. And I say this as someone who ran an auction house themselves for a number of years. I know how difficult it is to run a car auction, so I don't say this lightly, but I feel as though I need to be honest about it, because I feel as though not just me, but others as well, have been a little bit deceived with how the particular auction house, Hampson's, ran this sale, in particular when it comes to cars of a low value nature like this. So let me start with what happened. So the auction finished, and we waited around patiently to get cars out and paid for. We didn't just win this vehicle, by the way. I won a Mini and something else as well, but I'll come back to them in a future video. Now, they were a lot more expensive, so the problem I'm going to talk to you about now doesn't really, although we still overpaid for them technically, it doesn't feel as much as a bite as something like this, because they sell a lot of cars there that are no reserve, and that's great. But if you've got stuff that sells for modest amounts of money, you expect to pay modest amounts of fees. And fees at auction houses, particularly classic car auction houses, are set at a certain rate band. And they are set at fees structures like 8%, 10%, 12% plus VAT. That is pretty much the generic fee structure that is used, particularly of all the auction houses I've ever visited that sell classic cars. And that's the same at Hampson's. They advertise their rate at 12.5%, I think it is, plus VAT. They make that abundantly clear. It's on the front of the catalogues. I even asked when I went into there, how much is the fee structure today? They said 12.5% plus VAT. That is it. So we're in no doubt of what we should be paying. Now, when we actually went to pay for the car, the MG, which we bought, I think it was £1,200 on the hammer, we got a bill, which I thought was wrong, presented to us for £1,920. In fact, I have the bill here. Now, At first, I just thought, that's clearly wrong, because 12.5% plus VAT on a £1,200 is not £720, which is what they're trying to get out of us for commission, buyer's fee, indemnity, whatever you want to call it, for the car. So I went back to the girl and said, that can't be right, that sum doesn't look right to me, go and have another look. And she agreed. She went, yep, it doesn't look right, that's not correct at all, that's not 12.5%, leave it with me. Off she went, took about 10 minutes, she come back and said to me, no, it is correct, that is the fee. To which I was a bit bewildered and thought, hang on a minute, it can't be, because that's not 12.5%. And as I'm saying this as well, there's another chap next to me and another chap behind me having exactly the same conversation with staff there. Or they bought cars, modest cars, grand, couple of grand, whatever it will be, and the fee structure doesn't add up to what is advertised. It later transpires, which this is normal, don't get me wrong, but not at this level, but there is a minimum fee. So it's 12.5% or a minimum amount. Now, I'll give you an example. Go to Angular Car Auctions a lot. Their minimum fee is about £160 plus VAT. So it basically covers them, because they need to make set amounts, obviously, on lots they're going through. If you buy a car for a few £100s, yeah, that's not quite 10% or 12.5%, obviously, but it's not far off. And say they do all have sort of similar minimum amounts. And I wouldn't be having an issue if it was this one was slightly more. Every auction house has got different overheads, but this isn't slightly more. This is considerably more, about 4 or 5 times more, because the minimum fee they operate there is £600 plus VAT, which on the car I've purchased makes my indemnity before VAT 50%. 50% buyer's premium I've paid on this vehicle, which to say is something I've never ever experienced in a classic car sale, ever. At all. I just don't understand why they operate that. I mean, I'm sure they've got a good reason for it. I couldn't find out what that was, even though I asked. But what really annoyed me, because some people could argue and say, well, you should have looked, it's your responsibility, you should have looked at the fees and stuff like that. Fine, that's a fair point. But the argument was, it's not just me who was having the same conversation, it was multiple people having the same conversation that day with the staff, is that it's not clear what the minimum fee is. It's very clear that it's 12.5% plus VAT, that's advertised everywhere. But where is this minimum fee you talk about? Because no one seemed to be aware of it. And if it's got numerous people having the same discussion, I would argue that they're not being very transparent, because I was completely unaware of it. I asked when I went into the auction hall and said to him, how much is the fee today? There was no mention as a minimum amount. It was just, it's 12.5% plus VAT. The only reference we could find after the event was the terms and conditions board, which looks like something that's come out of a Doomsday book, parked on the wall in the far corner out of the way with, you can imagine like a documentation, tiny writing, probably take an hour to read it. No one's going to take much notice of that. And then a one-line reference in small print on the website, basically saying what the minimum fee is. That is it. And I feel that is pretty unfair to prospective buyers. Now, for me, it's not going to kill me too much. It's killed this profit in this car, but I ain't going to go under because of it. I'm all right. But I can see why others are pissed off. And there was other people there that day who felt annoyed by the fact that they were, in their view, as someone said to me, potentially being misled into what the buyer's fees actually really were. They weren't being particularly transparent. And I have to say, I didn't feel they were being transparent about it either. Now, so the chap came out, a young lad eventually, because there was quite a number of people sort of getting a bit irate about this. And he came out and sort of quieted down the situation. He was very polite, he was a nice bloke, no issues with him there. He said he'd look into it, sort it for us, he couldn't do anything now, but I'll come back to you first thing in the morning, we'll get some emails across, and we'll sort it out, make sure this doesn't happen again, make sure we can resolve it, and see if we can do anything. Did he come back to us and resolve it after I then paid for the vehicle and thought, right, okay, well, at least something's been done about it? No, didn't bother replying to my emails or contacting me at all. Even rang, and no one bothered to reply back to me either. And not just me, another chap as well I was speaking to, another trader who was also peed off as well. He didn't get a reply to his email address given as well, so they just basically just completely blanked us just to get us out of the auction hall. Yeah, so not a great experience. I was a bit annoyed at that outcome, to be honest. Again, not necessarily for me, because I'm a big lad, I can stomach all this, it's not the end of the world. And look, I run a YouTube channel and we'll film this car, whatever a few £100 more I've had to pay, look, let's be realistic, I can get that back by putting this video out and stuff like that. So it's not for me, I'm worried about this. It's just that there's people go to that auction, they might buy something, put their hands up, and you need to have clear instructions about what buyer's fees are. I mean, I say this as someone who used to run an auction. I would never, ever in a million years have hidden my buyer's fees or made sure that people were not completely aware and it wasn't transparent about what the fee structures is. And that's really the case at most auctions. In fact, most of them, when you go to them,
the fees are up on the board and it's in clear black and white writing, or you get given a fee card and stuff like that if you go to certain other classic auctions, or they make you aware of it. I know at Angler they've got it on the boards there by the office, and there's numerous places. Transparency, that's all I'm saying. They just need to be a little bit more transparent. I have to say, actually, I've been previously to Hampson's and I bought cars from there, and the experience was brilliant. That was a lot more expensive vehicle, so the minimum amount that we charged on, I think it was 7 or 8 grand car we bought, in fact it was the Mini, the one we had in the latest raffle, that didn't really make a difference because it sort of tallied out. But on cheaper stuff, it doesn't really make much sense to be buying stuff like this at that auction, and I certainly won't making that mistake again. Anyway, so that's that bit rant over. That left a bit of a sour taste. So we got the car out after paying too much money for it in the end. It transpired, went from probably costing me, or I suspected it should have cost about 1,450 quid. That's what it would have been if I bought this from 2 or 3 other different classic sales that we attend. That's what roughly would have paid with the fees on £1,200 on the Hammer. Shot up to 1,900. Now, in fairness, that's more like 1,800 for me because some of it's VAT, which I can get back. Remember, the public won't get that back, but I can get a little bit of it back. So its standing value now is £1,800. Effectively, it's now taking away any of the profit, not the profit, but the allocated amount of money I'd expect to spend on parts for repair, a few £100s. We'd probably do our own labour ourselves, obviously, but you need money to fix it. So my calculations were, you're buying it for X, you're going to spend Y. At the end of it, they're worth that amount, and you'll be able to get that for it, or roughly thereabouts. General sort of profit and loss. But with that extra fees being accounted into it, that's pretty much killed it. And I could have done with that extra few £100 because, not this is the auction house's fault, this is just, well, this is my fault because I didn't check the car over beforehand. It needs a little bit more work than I thought. We got the car started after needing a jump start, and we discovered, when we got it recovered back in here, that it probably needs an head gasket. So that has entered the coffers well and truly. In fairness, it sounds worse than it is. An MG or Rover K-Series that needs an egg gasket, who would have thought it? To be honest, you always go into buying these thinking that you might need to do that. If I'd had time and got the keys, we didn't manage it, unfortunately, on the day. I just could have checked it and probably would have kept away from it. But it is what it is now. But it certainly added to the rotten day, finding out this then needed a egg gasket doing. Now, in fairness, it's not actually that difficult to do. And I know some people go, oh, God, egg gaskets, that's a nightmare. And cars knackered, why are you bothered, it's scrap. These are really, really easy to do. I mean, compared to modern stuff today, doing a head gasket on a Rover K-Series is a doddle. An absolute doddle compared to wet bell engines and diamond chains and Ingenium engines and all the crap you have to deal with modern cars. Take this, an head gasket on a Rover, any day of the week. These are really straightforward to do. The gasket sets are about £50 brand new for the whole sets. You get the head skin for about £45 locally. I've got cam belt kits anyway, but even so, they're not particularly expensive. I've got a couple of them lying around. This is really straightforward. And actually, I'd argue that when we've done it, and we will probably actually film doing this car up, but we're probably going to have to now to retrieve some of the money back. It's going to make it easy to sell because everyone who buys Rovers of the 90s and early 2000s and MGs, if he's got the Rover K-Series in, they'll always say, well, you know, when was the head gasket last done and stuff like that, like it's almost like it's a timing belt to the question. And I suppose if it needs doing, like this one does need doing, it's got the sign straight away that it's starting to go, then at least we can say it's been done. It's got a brand new head gasket on it, it's all been done properly, it's got a new cam belt and water pump on it. It might add a little bit of value to it, and you're more likely to buy this car maybe over one similar, because it's got that bit done to it that another one might not have been done to it, peace of mind and stuff. So we'll see. Values, what I think it might be worth in the end of it, well, to be honest, there's not really much profit left in this now, but for what it's worth, I think we probably would get $27.95 for it, which is the sort of upper end of what these are worth. Good points, like I said, it's 40,000 miles. I think it's the better earlier F model with the hydro gas, and it's the VVC with a hard top, that's good. That's good positives. These change hands, scruffy ones, less than £1,000. This isn't a scruffy one with higher mileage, it's a low mileage, clean one. So realistically, you probably could buy a half decent one for 1,500 to £2,000 for a really nice one. Lower the mileage, obviously, then more that's going to come down. If it's got a hard top, a little bit more money. So I'm not a million miles away for a dealer. Obviously, you probably would get one cheaper. You know, I probably could go buy one £500-600 cheaper, I would imagine, maybe a bit more privately. However, you know, we are going to be obligated to fix this, treat it in the same way as we would do with any other car we sell. We have to give warranty with it. And I do know a bit about Rover K-Series engines, and we'll do a proper job on it, make sure it's right for someone. And I think someone out there, in the spring particularly, might want to spend
a little bit more money on our one, which is a nicer example, or certainly at the end of it will be, hopefully. All the head gasket done and cam belt done, all serviced up, running like a dream. So we'll see. I could go completely wrong. This could be a nightmare car that sticks around forever and a day, but I don't think it will, actually. I think when we finish with it, it will sell. Profit-wise, I mean, lucky if we even get, I mean, probably going to spend a few £100 now on it. We've got to do a little bit of paint just to make it perfect. But I think we might get 600-700 quid out of it, which for the work involved, in reality, labour-wise, is not a great return. But sometimes it's just for the love, isn't it? And at least I like these cars. I know some people will think I'm nuts buying, liking old MGs and Rovers, but I do. So yeah, I mean, if it had been something else, I'd probably be a bit more pissed off. But at the end of it, we are going to save a car that could have found its way on the wrong side of a scrapyard in the next few years if it hadn't been saved now, I reckon. So I am sort of pleased that inevitably in the end we did end up with it. I just wish it had been a little bit less stressful and the auction had been a little bit more transparent. Anyway, let me know your thoughts on the little MGF. Do you like them? Do you have a bit of a soft spot, or do you think they are utter garbage? I want to know everyone's opinions in the comments section below. For what it's worth, we will repair this. I am going to pop it into dead corner, but I promise you it will not be there for very long. In fact, we've already got a date in the diary and we're going to get it in the workshop and get it sorted, start the process of it. And we probably will film it actually and cover it in some videos, because I think there'll be some interest in the little MG, and I'm certainly interested in getting it back on the road and on sale. I've already touted it actually on our Facebook page if anyone is interested in it. Obviously it's not going to be ready to go next week or anything, but over the Christmas period we could get it ready for somebody. So if there is anybody out there who's after a little MGF, then you can get in contact with us, or just check out the channel over the next few weeks as we get this little MGF turned round and hopefully on sale, running on all 4 cylinders again, and hopefully to a new owner in the coming weeks or months. Right, we're going to wrap it up there, chaps. Before we go, quick update about what is coming this week on the Car UK channel. We've got a pitch update coming in the next 48 hours, so make sure you check that one out. I have been doing quite a bit of work on the site. Massive cull has happened in Deaf Corner, or in the old Dead Corner should I say. Lots of cars gone, so make sure you check that one out. I'm going to do a proper sweep round, show you what I've been buying, what's been selling, what we've been up to as well, because like I said, with December coming, we've had to make some real big changes. I've got myself kicked up the arse and made some big decisions, so make sure you check that one out in a couple of days' time. Plus an update on the Mini Cooper draw from last Monday as well, or what happened, what prize was taken. Plus, finally as well, the Metro, part 3 of the Metro video should be out a week today, so that is this Sunday coming, but that's when it should be out, the part 3 of our MG Metro project series. We've got the engine back. Without giving too much away, I will cover it very briefly in the next update video. Paul, who's been helping us from Classic Mini Garage, has been doing his magic. It's just behind here, the engine at the moment. Honestly, wait until you see it. It's absolutely superb. We'll briefly talk on that, but make sure you check out next Sunday's episode. The car engine's going to be going back in. Paul's going to give us a hand to do that, get it all up and running sweet. Bodywork's been started as well on it, getting it all smartened up, and fingers crossed at the end of it we can drive it out of this workshop and go for the first proper drive. And my word, have we made some improvements to our little MG. I'm really looking forward to that one, so make sure you check that one out next week as well. Plus, I think I'm back at the auctions in a few days time, so I'll definitely do a bit of filming for you there for some future content in the coming weeks. So thanks for watching this one, chaps. If you haven't done so already, please like and subscribe, and get yourself in the comment section and let me know your thoughts on today's video. Hope you all have a great week, and I'll see you all in the next one.